All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're mapping out an incredibly raw, deeply emotional, and honestly pretty profound philosophical journey. We're diving into Marcus Reebok's 2016 collection of poems and songs, which is formally titled Songs and Poems of the Philosopher Prophet of the Eden Protocols. Now, this isn't just your standard book of poetry, and it's definitely not just a simple collection of sheet music. It's this dense, heavily textured exploration of the whole human condition. We're literally going to trace an arc from profound existential despair all the way to ultimate redemption. So let's unpack this worldview visually, step by step.
Okay, let's dive into this opening declaration, because Reebok sets the stage right off the bat. I wanted to be a writer of books, a writer of songs, a writer of wrongs. It's so pointed, isn't it? It immediately gives us a feel for the author's persona. You've got this guy who is highly idealistic, super creative, but he's also carrying this massive burden, this overwhelming sense of duty to fix the injustices he sees everywhere. It tells us, right out of the gate, that we are going to be navigating a landscape where high ideals violently clash with a deeply flawed world.
So our first stop on this thematic journey takes us straight into the mind of this alter ego. We're going to see exactly how he navigates a world that he feels is just inherently chaotic and a lot of the time downright hostile.
To really wrap our heads around the source material, we first have to understand this central character, the philosopher prophet. The text gives us a narrator who's actively battling these massive internal and external forces. We're talking deep-seated childhood trauma, crippling existential angst, and just a profound disgust for the hypocrisy he sees in society. And what makes this collection so unique, so incredibly compelling, is how Reebok actually blends sprawling free verse poetry with highly structured musical compositions, complete with piano and guitar tabs, to get these complex ideas across. He's desperately searching for a pure thing, a right and a true thing amidst all the noise.
But before we confront the absolute darkness of human society, the author actually finds this temporary, almost overwhelming sanctuary out in the natural world.
Just look at the language he uses here. It is a complete sensory overload. He's describing these scenes from alpine meadows in the Black Forest, but he isn't using serene, quiet little words. No, he hits us with this high-voltage intensity. Phrases like dazzling electric yellow stars and the addictive intensity of lemon light. It's vibrant, it's frantic, and honestly, it borders on the psychedelic. For him, nature isn't just pretty to look at. It's this powerful, glowing force that momentarily just drowns out all his inner chaos.
Even when he's just observing a simple beetle, it's captured with this crazy, rapid, rushing intensity. Metallic blue-green, scarlet, and crimson flight. The pace of these early poems is incredibly quick and lyrical. You can almost feel the gushing silence and the slow space rushing that he's talking about. It's this rushing sensory experience that acts as a vital, but ultimately fleeting, escape for our narrator.
This whole euphoric observation builds up to these moments where surreal landscapes are bursting in my mind. It's profound, right? It feels transcendent. But when we really analyze the structure of the collection, we see that this overwhelming, glowing light is really only there to cast a much darker shadow on what comes next. Because this pure, perfect sanctuary of nature stands in absolute, stark contrast to his incredibly cynical view of humanity. Let's move to that now and see how this builds. We are pivoting hard from those glowing green fields straight into the harsh, gritty reality of human society that he portrays in his songs.
The text draws a truly brutal contrast here. On one side, we have all the promises that society and religion feed us. The author specifically brings up the philosopher Lucretius and this concept of noble lies, the idea that religion promises these glorious heavenly rewards just to keep the working class submissive. Society promises us a level playing field, right? But then, on the other side, in tracks like When Am I Gonna Have Any Fun, Reebok lays out the gritty reality. The vast majority of people are just sweating and slaving away for next to zero gain. Wealth inequality is totally rampant, and the playing field? Well, according to the text, it's completely rigged by the people in power.
And, this societal critique isn't just abstract philosophy. It's deeply, deeply intertwined with his own personal agony. In the song World Keeps Turning, we get hit with these just devastating lines. Mummy hit me till I cried, then she hit me till I made no sound. And then that's followed by the refrain, the world can be such a cold and lonely place. It's this profound, heartbreaking expression of childhood trauma, of severe neglect, and of feeling entirely unwanted. And it's exactly this trauma that forms the core of the persona's internal landscape. It's what shapes his view that the universe is just fundamentally indifferent to human suffering.
So across multiple songs and poems, the author is basically outlining a deeply cynical view of all our institutions. The text essentially asserts that people don't actually care about the truth at all. They only welcome truths that bring in a profit. He argues that the herd instinct will immediately cut down the tall poppies, anyone who actually has ambition for a better world. He views religion merely as a tool used for submission. But honestly, perhaps the most biting takeaway from this whole section is the line, "Truth without power is not worth a damn at all."
This brings us to the next stage of our arc. Now the narrator has to grapple with the fading of his youth and finding some stoic acceptance for life's inevitable curveballs.
Now, what's really interesting about this timeline, which maps out the narrative of the song 19, is that we see this literal step-by-step progression of losing innocence. At 15, life is just one great big dream. By 16 and 17, life is entirely made for love. By 19 and 21, the lovers are having a blast, no cares in the world. But then, by 23, the harsh reality of change sets in. She needs to be free, and these two people who shared this profound love drift apart and become complete strangers. It's a perfect visual map of how youthful certainty just slowly erodes away.
The core message in 19, and also in the upbeat, kind of ironic chant, "That's just the way life goes," is simply that you cannot freeze time. Change, loss, pain, they are all just inevitable parts of the human game. As the lyrics say, hard as you'll try to hold on to them, the best things go away. You literally just have to roll with the punches, because luck comes and luck goes.
But wait, we are not ending this explainer in despair, because after dragging us through the absolute bleakness of society and the pain of lost youth, the collection pivots hard into its final redemptive arc. Across a series of these soaring rock and gospel anthems, we finally find out what the philosopher prophet believes is our ultimate salvation.
The antidote to all that existential dread? It's fierce, protective human connection. In the piano and guitar variations of the song "You're Not Alone," the narrator steps up to be the shield for someone else. When the world is cold, when the disillusionment is just taking its toll, the promise here is absolute. Ride or die loyalty. Know for sure I'm going to catch you when you fall. It is through loving and being loved, which we see in tracks like One Good Woman and All Night Long, that the darkness is finally kept at bay.
And this whole philosophy reaches its absolute climax in the anthem TLISO. That's an acronym for There's a Light and It Shines On. When everything has gone wrong, when the disillusionment is total and people just can't seem to get along, this song serves as the ultimate defiant pushback against the void.
Despite all the trauma we've talked about, despite the rigged societal games and the absolute inevitability of loss, the author concludes that the light shining in the darkness is love, period. The lyrics explicitly state, life is love, it's the only meaning. It recycles, it expands with the universe itself, and when the dust settles, it is literally the only thing that matters.
We've journeyed all the way from the electric heights of nature, down through the bleakest valleys of societal hypocrisy and personal trauma, just to arrive at a sanctuary built entirely on human connection. Marcus Reichbach's Eden Protocols leaves us with a very stark worldview, but ultimately, it's an incredibly hopeful one. Which leaves us with a lingering question for you to chew on today. In a world full of chaos and constant change, what is the light that shines on for you? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep seeking your truth.